Did you know that the weather directly correlates to how much you're going to pay for your electricity? And if you are in New England and you were running your air conditioner at 540 this evening, you paid 30 times more than the normal rate. I'm meteorologist Serena Arnold, and this is what you need to know about how the weather affects electricity prices. I'm going to take you right away to a really cool website. It's called gridstatus.io, and we are the ISO New England ISO NE, and this page is full of information, like full of info. This is one of my favorite graphics because it shows how we get our electricity here in New England. How much of it is from solar, how much of it is from natural gas. We have a lot of sources. Renewable sources like solar power and wind power are the cheapest. We basically get them for free once those have been installed. But running power plants and things like that get very expensive. You see, electricity usage is both weather determined and weather dependent. How much energy you're going to get from the wind blowing? How much energy is the sun going to produce? Are there going to be clouds that move in? And on the other hand, how hot is it going to be? Are we going to have a record-breaking ridge of high pressure heat dome that's going to cause people to really need their air conditioners more than normal? In New England, about a third of our power on average days is generated from green and renewable sources. On a day like today, though, we need a lot of extra help, and that gets expensive. This map shows what electricity prices were like across the country earlier this afternoon. The darker the red, the higher the price, the cooler the blue, the lower the price, and you're kind of normal in these neutrals. Take a look at what's going on. This was this afternoon, but this is now. If we look at electricity generation over the past 3 days, we can see we're a little over 20 gigawatts 2 days ago. Yesterday's about 25, and here we're probably close to 28. We know how much power the sun will generate if we have a good forecast. We know how much we can get from wind, which is pretty minimal through New England, but we have a little bit of it. So the rest of this has to be made up through other sources. You can see the electricity demand has definitely increased, and we're having to fill it in with additional sources here that we wouldn't normally have. Those pinks are oil, and things like oil or power plants or any of those fossil fuels actually cost a lot more money to generate power. But don't worry, the electric companies pass on all that cost to you. And I just want to put into perspective real quick how severe this heat wave is and how much it's affecting the electricity prices. Let's look back at data from Manchester, New Hampshire, and we could see somewhere right around the 14th here was about 63 degrees, had a little bit of a peak of 93 on the 19th, but we've been really, really hot recently. I mean, you guys felt it today. Look at power generation from the 14th, where it's about 13 gigawatts of power at its max. Up to here, it's more than double that at close to 28. Compared to when our temperatures were like in the 60s to now, where some of us are hitting triple digits today, we need more than double the power in order to keep all of us cool and avoid having blackouts. This is looking at yesterday's data. Now, this dark blue line is where they forecast prices to be the day before, and this teal line is what actually happens. This is yesterday, so prices were up pretty high. How high, you ask? Well, if this is sort of $50 per kilowatt hour, that is what we're looking at right here, it was forecast to get a little bit higher yesterday. It was forecast to get to 247, but it ended up getting much higher than that, and we saw the numbers go to 426. The x-axis of this graph is time. So here's 6 a.m., here's noon, here's 6 p.m., and then here's midnight. It's right around that early evening time where temperatures are at their highest and people are running their air conditioners the most. This means electricity demand is at its highest, and electricity generation also needs to match that, or you get blackouts. Let's take a look at what happened today. So here's yesterday. Prices came up a little bit and were higher than expected. Here's where we're sitting today. Forecast prices, if we highlight and mouse over this, were expected to reach about $500, but instead things went to, if it'll let me highlight it, $1,500. These prices are forecast and reported in real time in about 5-minute increments. And if you pay attention to this, you can actually potentially save some money. If you were running your AC or you were running anything in your house during that time where it costs the most, you're going to notice a difference in your bill. The prices shown there are called LMP, or locational marginal price, and it's basically the wholesale value of having the electricity provider send that electricity out there. Those prices are for megawatt hours, and a megawatt can power your home for about 30 days, or per day can power about 30 homes. So for every dollar you see there, you're paying for about 3 cents of that. Running something like your air conditioner would cost you about $1.50 per hour based on normal times. But if you did it during that high peak when the rate was $1,500 per megawatt hour, you were paying close to $50 instead. It was a short-lived peak, and it is coming down again. But it's going to make a big difference when people get their electricity bills at the end of the month. There are a lot of variables that affect these prices, but one of the best ways to avoid it is to have an electric company that has very good forecast data. Because electric companies that were able to look out a week before, a week in advance, and see this heat wave coming, are able actually to purchase that electricity and have that power set aside in advance, have contracts to say, we're going to use this much power at these times for these set prices, because this is all basically supply and demand. The more power people need to have generated, the more costly it gets.